As in Utah, when I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him.
You killed me.
I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist. And it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, good morning. 8 o'clock Pacific genocide time, Atlantic genocide now, Indian Point, Indian Point. We got so much to talk about. What a major week we've had. Of course, get out of your dogma snuggies for an hour. I know you've engulfed so many dogma burgers, and you've been postured and groomed, you've been chemtrailed, you've been vaccinated, you've been television, you've been elf-towered, you've been freaking secret mind freaking controlled, all of it. So, you can't do anything. You just got to lay there and gurgle. Didn't work on me. I know a lot of people didn't work on. So I know you've ingested a lot of dogma burgers. But, open your mind. Free your mind. The rest will follow. So here we go. First off, Megan Rice. Wow. Such a major, major, major event happened on V-Day, May 8th. V-Day, 70 years, right from the exact time of the victory in Europe, which was such a major, major event in this world. Gigantic major event. Of course, they call it with the nuclear, but what an amazing time. What an amazing, amazing time. What a horrible time leading up to it. But what a relief. And what a relief. The judges, 2-1, said exactly what we said inside the courtrooms. Now, let's talk about this. Then we'll move on to Indian Point, then we'll move on to Fukushima, we'll move on to the Energy Solutions dump site here in Utah. A major, major dig, and Kevin Blanch, the strongest activist in Utah by far, by millions of times here, and after has been totally blackballed by the Mormon Church, which I am a Mormon, been totally blackballed by KSL, and KSL's putting out disinformation. I'm going to file a lawsuit against KSL. Now, I'll have to find an out-of-state attorney because the attorneys, the court systems here are completely hijacked. They're going to bring 700,000 tons of the end of the cycle right here thing illegal, and Utah does not want it. It's people, but they will still go for it. Mike Lee got a book out, by the way, and I'll guarantee you his book doesn't talk about he got $600,000 in a bank bailout while he's cutting food stamps. He's one of the biggest rats who ever walked the face of the earth here. So let's start first. Megan. As that went down, when Megan Rice, I've known Megan Rice for a long, long time. The Plowshares gig. Now, clear back, I grew up fighting this path with the greatest activists in the world. We're here in my neighborhoods, in my town. My dad was one of them. My father had been nuked at San Onofre in the desert, and he didn't talk about that, but he sure was a conscious soul. My grandparents, my beautiful grandmother, the writer, the historian, Thelma K. Brody. I knew her from my grandma. Was friends with her. I mean, they were our neighbors. I mean, this was a community. Edward Abbey was here. Stegner was here. This was a community. We were communal people in this beautiful northern Utah that we lived in. Everybody knew each other. Everybody freaking hung out together. Young, old, we partied like animals. We had love. We had a lot of good things. We had culture. We had respect. We had time. We picnicked. We had good jobs. We had loving parents. We had loving neighbors. There was the rats out there, but they got marginalized. Now it's the opposite. There was no hairspray masquerade party, so that's how I met Megan Rice, because I used to protest in the Nevada test site. Our Blanch pours into Nevada. The landowners behind our house in Utah. You go out across the lake, whatever, there it is. It just spills out. And you just go. It's the wide open spaces. That's where I grew up. That was my place. So I used to protest down there all the time. So did Madeline Rice. Carol Gallagher was here, still here, These are the New York family that was anti-nuclear. Dorothy Day's this was Madeline Rice. Madeline Rice was the lead. Really, you think about the anti-nuclear movement in the intellectual community, in the so-called, I don't really like to use the word elite, but the religious powerful at the time, the conscious, the beautiful, the strong, the amazing. The top of the heap of that movement was Madeline Rice. Incredible woman. By the way, she protested clear into her 90s. She didn't pass away all that long. She passed away in the late 90s. I think she was 97 years old. Very active right up to her death. Amazing. One of the most elegant, beautiful, passionate, intense, maybe the most elegant, passionate, intense woman. That's saying a lot, the women that I grew up with and the women that I knew. She could have been it. So that's how I got to know Megan, her daughter. Yeah. Madeline was protesting down there. They were going to that test site, lay down. They're moving depleted uranium and doing their big. And remember this, I think a lot of people, even the anti-nuclear movement, jumps over this. Yeah, John Kennedy put a pencil through the open-air test in '63, July 26th, which I believe that's what got killed. I'd like to write a book. Everybody else spins into all this other lunacy, which there was lots of reasons to whack him, but, it was a powerful dig. Madeline Rice was very much responsible for that. And I don't think she ever gets the credit. She was very much her and Rachel Carson, because who was paying attention to Madeline Rice and who was paying attention to Rachel Carson in a big, big, big way? Jackie, young, idealistic. That's what the people called the elite. She was an elitist. The beautiful elitists had pivoted. They had the daughters of the oligarchs were countering, and they were socially conscious, and they were taking care of business. That was Jackie Onassis. Ended up being Onassis. Isn't that amazing? She ended up being an Onassis. Pretty amazing. She had John Kennedy's ear. Big time. This is his wife. They're in the bed together at night when he's not out with some other female. But they were still doing underground tests. They did underground tests well into the 90s. W tried to bring them back, by the way. And by the way, I want to say this before, this is important. As evil as the Bush cartel and the crime family, there could be the evilest people on the face of the earth. Environmentally, no one's as bad as Barack Obama. He signed the Arctic lease. That is the sacred cow to any environmentalist. The sacred cow has always been. Even Bush didn't dare do it. None of them dare do it. He did it yesterday. You know that. Obama, the greatest Republican GOP in history. Even Trump's Bill Walmart Clinton. He did it yesterday. The sacred cow. The sacred cow to the environmentalist movement for decades and decades and decades is freaking oil drilling in the Arctic. It is the sacred cow. He fucking shot the sacred cow yesterday. For real. I can't believe. And he's a Democrat. Ran on the platform. No doubt in my mind, the greatest liar in human history. The greatest betrayal in human history. Bar none. This guy makes Benedict Arnold look like a church mouse. Barack Obama. May his freaking name be chiseled in all of time as the quintessential thumbprint of liar betrayal. So, I'm in the Nevada test site. I meet this girl in Vegas. You know, I'm working on Wall Street. I got a plaster business. I live right there. I got money. I'm hanging around. It's beautiful, incredible girl who's an activist. One of the first, I'm like, you know, Russians couldn't get in the United States in those days. They'd have to marry somebody, whatever. This girl was here. I'm like, from Chernobyl, an activist. She was what Femen is now today. Femen, by the way, was born the name on my birthday. But April 10th. But before that, long before that, the feminist movement that rose up in Russia, let's remember all the men were dead. World War II. The girls had to freaking learn to be strong. There were no men left after World War II. 30 million of them dead, coming off the famine, coming off World War I, coming off Stalin executing them, coming off, I mean, what men were left? There weren't any. The women had to run the show. They had to learn how to be strong. And then Chernobyl, she was one of those. And your quintessential, incredible Russian female. I mean, wow. Physically, mentally, intense. This girl was everything. I met her. Her and I got to be very good friends. That's how I met. I knew Madeline, but I didn't know Megan very good. She knew Megan. She had met her in a protest movement down there, so that's how I got to know them. So when Fukushima happens, you know, I go ballistic. I have a new YouTube channel that's not very old. I'm experimenting with, you know, trying to finish up my PhD. So as it goes forward, I mean, I go ballistic. I go nuts, you know. I do what I do. I use as an artist. I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. I use my art. You know, I love how people will try to do a psychological evaluation on me or whatever evaluation watching a YouTube video. Really? I'm a very calm, cool, collected person. I really am. Very logical. Very educated. Physically, very strong. You know, I've went through a lot of things in my life. I was raised and mentored by some incredible, incredible people that I just spoke of. Amazing people of the conscience. That's what this place was. I was lucky enough to grow up with those people. So I got to know her. Well, Madeline, after Fukushima, I'm sure that's why they made the decision. She made the decision to do it on July 28th. That's the day that World War I started. She knows exactly what she's doing. Greg and Michael, Dorothy Day, Plowshares, that's what they do. This was their holy grail. Now, they had blood vials of their leader, the guy who first accepted and started this, and I'm trying to think of his name right now. It was his wishes. It was always the Holy Grail. We all know the Holy Grail is Y-12 and Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We know they're the biggest rat liars in the world. We know that's where the bombs are being made and whatever. And remember, these are peace activists. These are peace activists. The word transformers, the word plowshares comes out of the book, out of the Bible. They're Irish Catholics, Roman Catholics. You know, they're amazing. Hardcore, strong. I don't know that they're so hardcore. I think they're just spiritually true. They don't get co-opted. And they're of the conscience, they're of logic, and they're of reason. And she was raised by Madeline Rice. That woman she got it. I mean, that woman, to me, there should be statues of her. Dr. Rice, she reminds me of Liz Warren so much. Same path as Liz Warren, by the way. Liz Warren, what, Oklahoma, just a mom? Went back to school later, rose up, boom, 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 boom. She won't take the freaking, you know, the skull and crossbones freaking bullshit because she was older. She's a mom. She's, you know, from the earth. You know, so I call her that little girl from Kansas. And she went over and pulled the curtain back. And we know who the curtain is in Kansas, Barack Obama. That's where, you know, that was where he came from. It's pretty amazing, his mother from Kansas. You know, and he disrespects his mom. I mean, how old was Barack Obama's beautiful mother when she passed away? She was a downwinder from Utah. So sad. So they do it on the 28th. All they do is go in there, snip the fence. You know, they thought that maybe they'd be shot. They're very nervous, very, you know, it was a bold, bold move. But that's what plowshares do. And I want to make sure people understand that one of the nuns died in a jail in Georgia not too long ago from another action. And we need to start talking about her. Of course, the Kansas City group who did their action, the judge, you know, in the courtroom, they have good legal counsel. In the court, legal counsel says at the same time, Madeline's gig says, hey, I've been putting you in jail for years. She was an African-American judge. She says, okay, yeah, we may have broke the law, but did Rosa Parks broke the law? Did she do the wrong thing? She told that. So the African-American judge, she said, tried to put you in jail, and after all these years, you're starting to convince me. She let them go. But she made them write answers. She wanted this group of questions. So when I'm at the potluck, I meet the incredible spiritual group, the first Roman Catholic ordained woman priest. Now, that would never happen in Europe, of course, but it did here. Her and I sat together. The really amazing, amazing old nun from Philadelphia sat there. They held my hand during the whole trial. They were amazing women. We worked together. She's the one who answered the questions beautifully, eloquently, amazingly. We talked. Kevin, what do you think this, amazing, incredible women, amazing women. Mary Evelyn Tucker, the old environmentalist from Yale. Yeah, before it got called the Oakville Connections, she was on the stand. I mean, the whole courtroom was in tears listening to freaking these responses, and the judge still hammered this woman away. This is the culture that we live in. This is an evangelical prosecutor in Tennessee that went out in a federal courtroom aggressively, hardcorely. This little rat was anti-Christ as it gets, anti-anything as it gets, but isn't that what the evangelical movement's moved into in the United States? Bomb killer, the opposite of anything. He was a fool. He's still a fool. They charge them with sabotage. So all they do is they go on, they use his vials, which is his wishes, and they sprinkle. They cut through the fence. They spray painted peace, not war. Transform, peace, not war. That's all. That's all on a concrete wall. That's all. Sit there and wait. That's all they did. A peace act. Peace, not war. Transform. That's it. Peace activists. They charge them with terrorism, with sabotage, under the Terroristic Act. This is an 85-year-old nun. Now, let's remember this. Incredible, the daughter of Madeline Rice. The protege, we're talking the group. Madeline Rice, Martin Luther King, Megan Rice. You're talking the spiritual of the spiritual, the strong of the strong, the incredible. This is the group. This is how American culture has turned their back. The New York media has turned their back on a person of this kind of power, of this kind of knowledge, of this kind of spirituality. So they charge her with sabotage. Greg and Michael, they're young men. They're my age. They come out of the Dorothy Day House in Washington, D.C., which I led the Million Masked Man March. I was staying at the Ralph Nader house. They lied to me and co-opted me. They almost killed me in that record. And that's a dirty, filthy bunch of stinking hippie liars. Nader, you need to go gut that house. Clean that because, you're living there for free, so Colby is activists, and none of them are activists. They're horrible, Nader. Nader, you need to gut your own place. It's sad. Same the thing with Thomas's house. He passed away. That's the permanent protest in front of the White House. The same thing in that house. That house has been co-opted by dirty hippies. And, they're not activists. They're not. I'm here to tell you, I stayed with them. I was with them. So I go to the Dorothy Day House in D.C. That's where Greg and Mike come out. They're a church, by the way. So they're doing their gig, spray paint, charge her as a terrorist, refuse to let her out on bail, which is against the United States Constitution. Won't let an 85-year-old nun, she was 83 at the time, out on bail. What? And by the way, they have incredible legal counsel. This has nothing to do with their legal counsel because their legal counsel is the best of the best of the best. From New Orleans, he's brilliant. His young intern, the female, she amazing young attorney, amazing. I had wonderful conversations with them at the potluck. I had some really great photographs with them, but very spiritual, very powerful, very strong. When I left there that night, one of the old plowshares gave me a ride home. He says, Kevin, I love your work. He says, before you get out, I want to give you a prayer. Put his hands on it. It's dark. I'm standing in a very historical, beautiful house on the river, right in downtown Knoxville, that incredible, incredible place. If you ever get a chance to go to Knoxville, go to the East Tennessee Museum. It is a masterpiece. First thing in the wall, from plowshares to, it's amazing. And that was written long before anybody ever knew who Megan was. I think it's so irony that this happens. And I think Megan Rice would tell you that this is spiritual. The day she gets cut out and the day that the museum, all this. So gives me an incredible prayer. He had tears in it, and I did too. And I was very sick in those days, very, very sick. So, in the courtroom, they played every dirty trick. Wouldn't even let us. Pete Seeger dies the morning it's sentencing. Now, you think about it. This is Pete Seeger's people. He died that morning. January 20. You can't make any of this up. Coincidence? I don't know. You tell me. Pretty amazing. So, they've got her charged with sabotage. Won't let her. So they put her in a holding facility in Georgia. They set up to hold for a few weeks, awaiting sentencing. She ends up in there for well over a year. In fact, a year and a half, then some. I mean, to be exact, I think she was probably in there 19 months in the holding facility. At 55 degrees, staying with a young girl who got very sick, and Megan almost died in there. And I want everybody to know this. Everybody thinks she's strong. Yeah, of course she is, but I want people to very much know. And I know this. I do know this because because I do the work and I go out and I talk to people. You know, her family, her people. She did not do that well. She was heartbroken. She was heartbroken, and physically, mentally, I don't know how she didn't die. She didn't think that they would do this to her. She thought that the media would rally around her. She thought that the anti-nuclear establishment would. The anti-nuclear establishment did not rally around her. I did. The rest of them didn't. Helen Caldecott did not. None of them. All these people that got radio shows, they got whatever. None of them. This was the more important thing. I call it the litmus test. She was heartbroken. I know this for a fact. You know, me and Thomas Ackerman made some really great paintings and drawings of her, and I gave it to her. The head of Plowshares. He said he got it to her, and I think of her mom a lot. Her mom means a lot to me. I never lost track of that. Incredible. I mean, she was the quintessential American classic female. Strong, intelligent, dynamic, stood her ground. That's what this country was. Not now. It's over. It's over. It's heartbreaking. So, inside the courtroom, she's almost dead. Megan does her incredible rant. Mary Evelyn Tucker, how powerful is that, Mary? Timothy called her disingenuous, the prosecutor, right up on the gig. Mary Evelyn, I want to tell you, I've known Megan Rice since I was a girl. Mary Evelyn Tucker she's probably 6'5" female. She come out of that courtroom first thing, crying, tears in her eyes, elegant, amazing. First thing, come down and hug me. Amazing woman. And you want to say I'm crazy. No, I'm not. I'm very logical. I'm using my art. I'm using my passion. I'm using my intensity. I'm using every tool I could possibly do because I know how wrong this is, and I know how incredible this is, and I know what an epic time this is as an artist. I know. The rest of the world's in denial. They want to go retrospect. They want to stop anything. You can't. Not now. It's too dramatic. So inside the courtroom, they have the security guard up first thing. Now remember, this is one of the heaviest guarded places on the face of the earth. We spend billions of taxpayer dollars guarding this thing. They're making bombs illegally in there against the Non-Proliferation Act and international law. International law is a joke because we have the military-industrialized complex. The United States just thumbs their freaking nose at the rest of the world. And what can the rest of the world do when they point freaking bombs from outer space at them and threaten to blow their brains out from the Queen's uranium mines? That's all this is. All this is colonialism through nuclear. That's all it is. Bill and Hillary Walmart Clinton freaking selling uranium mines. By the way, that book's out. Clinton Cash. And he said he's had to hire, private security, the Clinton crime family versus the Bush crime. You're talking two of the evilest fucking groups of people that ever existed. Of course, then you got Barack Obama. Wow, where did they find this rat? So, inside the courtroom, she goes on her incredible rant. The judge is almost crying. He calls it recess day because it snowed, and it did snow. We had to go back, sentencing. He could have given him double what he gave him, but we knew. And the attorneys in there said over and over, number one, you didn't let her out, which is against the law. You couldn't let her out waiting sentences. She had to spend 19 months in a holding facility. And by the way, when I did my walk to Hamilton's grave that day in New York City, the reason I started at Madeline's dad's classroom. Megan's dad, Dr. Rice at NYU. And we walked in, and we correlated that with the day that we were supposed to have the congressional hearings. And Barbara Boxer, I've been working with Barbara Boxer's office, and we were supposed to have congressional hearings on the incredible crimes that were committed at San Onofre, which I was in a bone marrow transplant fighting for my life. They were battling this, feeding the world this information. So there I am, and they just out of the blue, we delayed the sentencing for 6 months. So she has to sit in a holding facility almost dead for 6 more months. She's almost already dead anyways. This is what they do. They try to kill you. That's what they do. I don't know how she lived. It's amazing to me. Same with Greg and Michael. Just total abuse. By the way, they totally abused into the prison system. I know this for a fact because I do the work and I actually talk to plowshares face-to-face personally. When I attend events at Helen Caldicott's Tea Party, which was a joke because they wouldn't work. Helen's demanded that nobody talk about Fukushima there because it scares our investors. Helen's nothing but a war profiteer. That's all she is. Hello. So, with her publicist, and she can go write some more books to live her cozy life in Boston. Don't let her fool you. Her house in Boston. Oh, I hate Americans let I live in Boston. So we go through this sentencing. We said, how can you charge them with sabotage? Read the act. Read the act. They don't care about the law. There's no wrong or right. There's only popular opinion. There's no wrong or right. So we've rallied. We fought. A lot of groups, Million Mass March, so many things that are involved. These are all issues that are changing the conscience of America. How can you possibly charge it? Not only that, they charge them $455,000 in restitution for a piece of, right in the courtroom. I'm telling everybody, hey, hello, I got a contractor. I'll go do it for free. You rent a sandblaster, sandblast it off. I can do it for a couple $100. Really? How many? $400,000 to fix some chain link and sandblast a block wall? This is the corruption. This is the cash cow. This is why everybody's gone along. Everybody's got their fingers in this. Cash cow, government contract, government contract, government contract. That's what she's protesting, all of it. Privatizing, guarding when they're not guarding. The security guard's on the freaking stand. Well, you mean we spend this? I mean, the attorney she tore him apart. It was a joke. And Megan, they all said it. We had no idea that they didn't know that. They were going in to make their statement as peace activists and get out, do their 6 months in jail, and move on to make their statement to try to save the world. That Y-12 is breaking the law, which Y-12 is dramatically breaking the law. United States law, Tennessee law, federal. They're breaking every fucking law by making more nuclear weapons. By law, they cannot make more nuclear. They're supposed to be getting rid of. They'll say they're getting rid of X amounts, but they're just making bigger, stronger ones because it's a cash cow. They have enough to blow up the Earth 10 million times over because it gives people money on uranium mines, Bill Walmart Clinton. Read the deal that's going on with Hillary as Secretary of State through the emails through Canada. Look it up, Czechoslovakia, using the word Westinghouse, Toshiba bought Westinghouse. All roads lead to nuclearism. So the judges overturned it 2-1. It's a major, major deal in American college. It's gigantic. It's as big as Snout. It's as big as Manning. It is that big. For these two judges to stand, it's as big as Janice down in San Diego, as I was there too, for the USS Reagan, standing up and opening up the case to GE and not being stand up. These are brave judges. These are smart judges. And they're women, by the way, doing the right thing. Where are you men? Oh, the men. Little short midget in his freaking hair attacking Megan like that in the name of Christianity. He's going to rot in hell. I mean, you want to talk some of the greatest crimes ever committed spiritually. He committed. I mean, it's pure evil what he did. Then there was no, read the act. You have to compromise the Americans' ability to wage war. You have to, I mean, that's the whole act. That's what they said they did. They didn't do any of that. No malicious intent whatsoever, none of it. And it didn't even come close to the statute. And that's exactly what the appellate court said. I'm thinking about one of the appellate courts went along with this because he's in the club. Don't rock the boat, baby. That's what these people do. It's just like if you're an ex-NFL player, if you're an NFL player, of course you're going to rally around Tom Brady because you're in the club, because you're not going to stand up for what's right. You're going to protect your freaking cronies. That's what gangs do. The court system is a gang. They're worse than the Bloods and the Crips. They know it's wrong, but they want to belong. They don't want to get kicked out of the club because that's serious. You get killed. Same with the Mormons. They know it's wrong where the path they're going, but they don't want to get. They're the Bloods and the Crips. They know it's wrong, but they don't want it. They want to belong. They have to belong. They're not about to belong because they'll get whacked. That's how brave these judges were. We cannot say. I cannot say enough how brave Janice has been in San Diego. How brave to do the right thing. To do the right thing in this culture, to stand up for the right thing in this culture, you got to be one brave dude. Ask Michael Hastings. Ask Aaron Swartz. Ask young Manning. You know, young Manning. Wow. And we put Think about him. He watched those collateral damage. What's he to do? This is a troubled young man, but he got it socially, consciously. And look what no wonder he's so tortured in his mind and messed up. You stand up and do the right thing that you're taught all life in your soul, and your heart tells you to do. You know, you're the Rosa Parks. You do all the right things, and then they try to kill you, put you in freaking solitary confinement for the rest of your life. How evil is this? Is the great evil nation. This nation is the greatest, evilest place, and Utah's ground zero. American ground zero, Carol Gallagher. You know, that's Megan's, you know, friend from New York who lives here, who I know wrote that book. She knows that Utah was here clear back then. They did the work. You know, I do the work. I do the work. The good work. I have to do the good work because I got leukemia. In order for me to survive the freaking path and not be taken yet, I have to be a person that this world still needs. If this world does not need me and my work is finished and done, thus the leukemia would have took me. It would have took me. It should have took me, but it knows the leukemia cells care because I still have to do the work. So I do the work in critical condition. I've done this work with no money, with no support, with no nothing. The support that I've done this on is so minimal and so mysterious. It's obscene. I look back on it. It's impossible what I've done. It is absolutely impossible what I've done. You know, Lonnie Clark has paid probably a total of about $12,000-$15,000 in my plane flights and hotels. Now you think about it, $12,000-$15,000 in 3-4 years by herself. A couple people send me $2,000 here, $2,000 here, $2,000, and I've been able to live. I've been able to travel. I've been to go to every one of these things with that amount of money. That's impossible. I don't know how I've done it. Almost lost my house. I mean, I had to get a freaking waiver. I mean, I've got several miracles, you know, along the way, but I knew if I don't continue to do the work, then God's going to take me. It's going to be my time because I watched all my friends because I've seen the good ones. It only takes the good ones. And I saw that. And for me, radical, me intense, me to fight this good fight, that's the only reason I'm alive. And I know that. I've known that since the day I got cancer. I've known that since the day. I knew that I had no chance. Less than 1% chance de nouveau. I mean, miracle after miracle. The miracles I got, I run into my friend right here 2 days ago, who was married to Jude. She and I grew up together. She got cancer at the exact same time as me. A big group of us did. It was just down to her and I. I thought she had it licked. Strong, beautiful, smart. I mean, this girl was strong. A couple years older than me. Physically in tremendous shape. You know, not an ounce of body fat on her. Strong, spiritual. She had it all. Amazing woman. She passed. It's down to me. You know, it was very emotional, very hard. I mean, to sit and watch all those people fighting for their lives, our family, our group, and watch them all go after they fought Paul, Carla, freaking all of them, and it's down to me. And not fight an intense festival, what am I? I mean, what am I? I'm a person. I'm treated like dog shit constantly. Do you realize how many attacks I'm under daily? Especially in the early days. Everybody thought Fukushima was some fairy tale and joke because we've been contemporary. It's like the same people that call Andy Warhol to this day. Oh, look at that faggot, that drug addict. Same mentality, but on Balco. That's what I was up against. I mean, hundreds death threats. Arnie Gunderson, Chris Busby themselves attacking me. I have the emails that I can prove that Arnie Gunderson's a rat and a phony. I can prove that Busby's a rat. I can prove it. I have the proof. Unarguable proof. Because when it first happened, they came to me. They came to me and says, no, Kevin, they were covering for the nuclear industry. Kevin, you're wrong. It's not a nuclear meltdown. It's not. And they stuck to that for a long, long time. It's a hydrogen blast. It's and I have the emails. I have them to prove this. All. Helen, all of them, the entire group. I'm the only one calling it a meltdown. The only one. I stuck to my guts because I knew it was a meltdown because it's tough to stand on your ground. And then people threatening to kill me, people threatening me, hundreds. And I was getting thousands of emails a day, thousands. I'm sick. You know, even when I'm to the central line. I mean, I see some of those emails. I look back and I'm like, they knew I was sick. They saw the central line hanging because I did videos outside of the bone marrow transplant. They watched me shrivel. I was in tremendous physical shape. You look at those. You go to the Post-Ignorance Project website. You look at those photographs I put up. Look what I looked like before. Head to toe with muscles. I mean, body fat. I think my body fat at that time was something like 6%. Muscles all over. Annika, who I knew in the Nevada test site, who I met Megan Rice, she used to say to me, she said, oh my God, Kevin, I'm so in love with you. You You know, it's not that spiritual soul of yours, that fight of yours, but you have arms like a Michelangelo sculpture. That's why I have to go to Europe. Two things. I have to go to the cement seal cycle. I have to go right now because they're putting it in Utah. This is so important. And I have to go see Moses. It's 500 years old. I have to see it on its birthday because it is Michelangelo. Somebody says something about, oh, Pacific Ocean's really pretty, dying. No important piece of art was ever pretty. They're not meant to. Jesus dying in his mother's arm, the greatest piece of art ever made. This has nothing to do with you believe in Jesus or you don't believe in Jesus. Whether he's the Son of God or he was not. The greatest human rights activist in human history, bar none. He'll, you know, whatever. Say, oh, it's just a fairy tale, it's just a story, you know, Cassandra, all of it, all these Spartacans, all of it, Alexander Hamilton, all of it, it's just a fairy tale, Tom, you know, John Brown, you know, the Gimlet Girls, it's all just a fairy tale. No, it's not. It's a very, very tiny person standing up against the machine, and he's going to get attacked, and they got attacked, right down to putting him on a cross and killing him. That's a real pretty piece of art, huh? No, to this day, everybody walks by, they say, even if you're not religious, one iota, the strongest atheists were, they say you walk by and you break down and cry. That's what art does. That's what good art does. They don't have to tell the tale. The tale will freaking burn through your freaking psychic, burn into, and it will make you strong. Anka died of leukemia in 1999, 38 years old. Prime of her life, physically so incredible. I mean, this girl, a pure physical 10, a pure mental 10. Look at my body now. Look at what my body's gone through. Look at those photographs. As my body will never fully recover from that. It's come a long ways. It's been an incredible, hardcore path. I went from 170 to 130 pounds. I should have never lived. Inside of there, going in and out of a coma. Central line hand, red 10. The only red 10 to ever walk out. Yet the community here will blackball me. They will blackball me. I mean, I was thinking about it this morning. It almost makes me cry. The Mormon Church, who I am a Mormon, I come from the most famous Mormon bloodlines. Without my family lines, there is no Mormon Church. The people who saved the Mormon Church, the quintessential great souls that they were, co-op, stole. They didn't do anything for me. They turned their back on me. Mike Lee cut me off Medicaid while I'm under treatment for kicking his friend's cows out of the Energy Solutions dump site. That leads me to Utah, my home, my place. KSL, I'm going to sue them, has told me right to my face. I mean, I'm the strongest activist in this state by 1,000 times, and everybody knows it. I'm the only one that shows up at these things. So they're trying to bring in 700, and I'm going to do a video today, and we got wind blowing. I want to do it in front of the Capitol. You know, I'll be the reporter. We'll see how this weather goes today. 700,000 tons of the final product. They've been kicking around for 70 years. There's no answer for it because Harry Reid is blocking it. Harry Reid, a Mormon from Utah. You know, born and raised at Yucca Mountain, but came here at a very young age, went to Utah State. I know a lot of his family, and don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-Harry Reid. I think he's a pretty good man in some ways, but other ways he's evil. And he is a Mormon. And the Mormon Church is freaking profiting from nuclear waste, big time. Energy Solutions. That's where the jazz play. This is how they play. They co-opt the media. They take the media. They take popular culture. I left a comment yesterday on KSL. They finally put a piece up, and they lied in it on talking about this. And just a comment just says, nuclear waste equals cancer. Yet they still will not put my comments. They're controlling the voice because they're the culture of death. They are the devil. Right? He is a hardcore Satan. He is Satan. Doug Wright is Satan. He's a pastor. The Mormon Church, what they've done, their predecessors would cry. All of them would cry. So, Energy Solutions dump site where they put a lot of so-called low-level, low-level. It's not low-level. So they've got it out there. I've been fighting it for years. There's protests on YouTube of me out there. By myself, no one will go with me because Utah's cowards and they think, oh, Kevin's crazy because they're so postured and groomed into this passive freaking thesis, this hairspray passive-aggressive, pop your pills, rape your children, kill your future generations, and they're okay with it because that's They're in the club. Don't rock the boat, baby. They're worse than the Bloods and the Crips. The gang in you, the Mormon gang in Utah, is worse than the Bloods and Crips. They know it's all wrong. The hairspray masquerade party, that they want to belong. And to not belong, their statute's gone. It's not my big house on the hill. Their debt structure, they're all broke up their ass. But it's not what people see, it's what people perceive. It's pathetic. So they're supposed to have open hearings. There's a guy named Rusty Ludberg. He's appointed by Dirty Herbie himself, Governor Herbert. Now, I talked to Herbert's secretary yesterday and the liaison, and I'm demanding. I'm talking to Ludberg. They won't even call me back. None of them will call me back, which is against the law, by the way. And I know Governor Herbert's secretary. She's a wonderful person. I talk to her all the time. Kevin, I'll make sure they get back to you. And I'm like, come on. So here's how it played out. There were supposed to be the open hearings in Wendover on the 7th and the 8th on this. We were organizing. I had some attorneys. I had some strong people from all over, because this is not just a Utah issue. Rocky Mountain area issue, big time. If you don't believe me, you look at those dust storms that blew across here. You know, that's where they blew across from. Idaho, Montana, you know, all the way across to the Mississippi, all the way across. We're downwinders. We're all part of this dynamic. Doesn't matter where they put it. It's where it lands when the wind blows it across. So the open hearings, Energy Solutions, who was delisted from the New York Stock Exchange, $35, $40 a share. Remember, I was on Wall Street. I'm the one. Dirty Herbie's trying to put a nuclear reactor on the green called Blue Castle. Type in Blue Castle on Google. You're going to get me with a central line hanging out of my freaking jugular vein. I put the dagger to them. They said they had the money through a lead dog hedge fund. I'm an ex-hedge fund guy from Wall Street. Worked there for years. Had the last letter organization from the legendary finance professor Clyde Clove. Very successful at the time. I left because of freaking cancer, because of death, because of Annika's death, a lot of people's death, and the corruption. I couldn't handle it. You know, there were some good people on Wall Street when I worked there for a while. We used to manage a lot of endowments on charitable, before all the charities were higher, Lung Association, different things. We used to manage their dime in a very conservative way. It's important to protect that wealth. But no, it got all co-ops, it got all written. So they send a letter to Governor Herbert, and one person, and he's a government employee, Utah Governor Radiation. Look it up. His name's Rusty Ludberg. I keep calling him and calling him. He refuses to return my phone calls. He's a rat. He is doing the same thing, and I'm going to have, mark my words, he will go to prison over this. I'm going to get this guy, because the same thing that's going between in California on San Onofre, which I exposed so much of that on my own. I get no credit. I'll never get no credit for anything, because people just watch my videos, suck my information, steal it. The plant goes in, and they'll take it. That's okay, because I have life. I don't care. I don't care. I don't need credit. So Sherry and Peavy in California, collusion. The people that the government paid to protect are colluding together. The same thing's happening here in Utah with Energy Solutions and Rusty. Oh, I'm his worst nightmare, and he knows it. He knows I'm onto him. So Mary Nichols, KUTV, she is the #1 news source in this state. She's a celebrity. Big, tall, beautiful. She got cancer doing a show. She was showing how to get a mammogram to protect her, and when she just went in to get a mammogram, just doing a piece. They found a lump. She went in. She was actually in our hospital. I talked to Mary. I'm like, Mary, you have to feel you're a celebrity in this town, because we have so much cancer. Why don't you talk about the people that are living? So I start emailing them, their news desk, KUTV. Finally, KUTV does the right thing and starts putting some of these things up. They get their hands on this letter from Rusty. He gets a letter from Energy Solutions, say, hey, the open hearings on the 7th and 8th, we don't want to have them, we're not ready. Can you back them out? Can you pull them out? Illegally. So they get their hands on this letter. KUTV puts it on their link, on their website. Of course nobody pays attention to it. I do. There's a few people that pay attention. Just state they're y'all caught up in what's going on in freaking the Middle East instead of their backyard. They're worried about Iran. You talk about Iran nuclear here, hundreds of thousands of people get all amped up in Utah, yet you talk about the very nuclear in their own backyard, they don't even know what you're talking about. That's the media. That's because, well, that's their own dogma. They're gone. They've been posher and groomed so far. So they pull the plug on the hearings, and we have an army ready to go out there. I've got attorneys. I've got groups from my army. We're ready. We're loaded for bear. We're going to freaking, they know it. So he sends a letter. Rusty goes to Governor Herbie, Dirty Herbie, So every governor we've ever had has blocked this shit. They've been trying to do this for 70 years, and it comes right down to one person, the governor. And if you don't believe he's dirty, think about Stair Cycle. You know, Becky, who protected them, got mad cow right in her head, which mad cow and this so-called disease is BSC, and they burn it right here. So the letter comes out, they block it. KSL yesterday says, oh, they had public hearings. No, they didn't. They had a couple in the neighborhood, in Tooele, right there, lived by, and a few people showed up, and blah, blah, blah. That's malice, that's lies. I'm going to sue their ass. No, they pulled the plug on the hearing. So I called yesterday, talked to Governor Herbert's secretary. She lays on me. He just lays on. They won't talk to me. They have me. They see me. They all know me. Mike Lee knows me. There's videos of me and Mike Lee having a conversation right in thing. You know, he's telling me my son's out. Lied to me, tells me he'll get back to me in a few days. He doesn't. They all lie to me, just like Lisa Lane lied to me. They all lie to me. They'll know me. Here in Utah, they see me. They walk on the other side of the street. Alex Cabrero. He and I have great conversations all the time. I show up to all these. He knows me. Oh, Kevin, 4 minutes. I said, why? You're not going to put anything I do up. Kevin, you've been blackballed. They interviewed me out there when Tippett died. My voice is playing on the thing. My voice shows up all over. RT, you can hear my voice. San Diego on Fox News reports, whatever, Channel 5, Channel 8, that's my voice. That's me. They interview me all the time. They all know me because I am everywhere at these events. And they know I'm articulate. They know I know the subject matter, but they refuse to show my face because I am blackballed, literally blackballed. It's a fact. So this is so corrupt, unreal, and this is the biggest decision that will ever be made in the part of this world in history. This is half-life 2 million years is the half-life of this shit. It's the hot of the hot. It's the end. It's the stuff that was, by law, supposed to be in Yucca Mountain. But Harry Reid, again, another Mormon blocks it. The casino industry blocks it. Now, you know, he has to do that. He'll never get reelected without Edelson and the rats that own the casino that rob people. You know, there's no gaming commission. They might as well put a gun to your head before you walk into those casinos. It's pure thievery. It's immoral. It's illegal what they're doing to people. Buy here, pay here. Mormon church leaders don't buy here, pay here. Now you think about that. Jesus said no usury. They claim they're the Church of Jesus Christ. What? Of Latter-day Saints? What? Change the name. So they say that there were no hearings. So we need to know when the hearings. And his secretary is a wonderful older Christian woman. She reminds me of. I like her. She's very friendly with me, and I'm very cordial with her. I really like her. And she's like, Kevin, you're right. You know, these hearings need to happen. I said, well, we can't make this decision without these hearings. And they pulled the plug. That's against the law. Rusty works for us. This is collusion. These are the things people go to prison for. Peavy and Cherry and freaking thing, that it's collusion. They're going to make this decision. I says, and we know it comes down to Governor Herbert. It's his choice, and we know what he pulled on Blue Castle. Now, I'm in his ear. I really am in his conscience. She's told me, Kevin, I think you're getting to him. Because I called and talked to him, about a lot of things, and on the water, he did step up there and block that, and that was me going at him. But so what do? Rewrite the law. They're fighting over water on Lake Powell to build a pipeline to Kane County to build Blue Castle that doesn't even exist. So they can sell the licensing agreement. That's all it is. It's a scam, and they flastrate it, and their own legislators. I'm in the Capitol trying to school them. Western Initiative for Nuclear set up behind the stairs. I catch them. Put them on video. They hate me. They fear me. They really, truly fear me. It's very similar to Michelangelo walking down the sidewalk and seeing the panty painter, Da Vinci. Da Vinci would run to the other guy. Michelangelo would spit on him. For real. He was scared to death at him because Michelangelo was all about spirituality and the truth and the reality. And they panty painted it. They tried. They tried to panty paint. Well, they did over him. Danny boys, that's what New York City is. That's what it all is. They're not going to panty paint me. My videos are backed up, and everybody's got them. They can't. This is my art. You want to try to do a psychological evaluation on me? Let's do a psychological evaluation on Picasso on his anti-war painting. Let's do a psychological protest on David, the artist that did that. Really? When these were the strongest-minded, sanest people who ever walked the face of the earth. Let's do a psychological on Jesus Christ. Going into the temple with a whip and throwing these maniacs out. Oh, that guy's crazy. That guy's got to be mentally ill. Yeah, he's mentally ill, all right. It's insane. And that's what people have done to me because you're so postured and grown. This is a major, major decision here. And I'm fighting. I'm out there all the time, with no money. sneaking out there in my little car. By the way, my mom had to give me a car. When I got leukemia, I had a lot of money. I turned $3,000 into $700,000 right on YouTube. You know, I went through a divorce. I went through many freaking cycles of life where I watched my father die. I watched Annika die. I watched other heartbroken. I watched the Hawken trial. I was the biggest stucco contractor in this valley. I would not switch to the fake shit. Watch this thing be. I watched my Hawken trial be ripped out of my hands. Watch this place be co-opted. Yet I stand on this. I stand up on it. I'm not going to compromise my principles because I know right and wrong. I was born knowing right and wrong. I'm not going to hairspray out in the mask. I'm not going to join the gang. And everybody's joined the gang. I don't want to belong to this gang. If they kill me, they kill me. You know, I got leukemia. They took all my money. They took all my money. You know, lucky I was able to keep my little house. I don't know how it was my big, beautiful house that they took illegally. This Mormon freak has panty painted it and destroyed it illegally. That masterpiece it was. I built it with cash, with my own hands. Mosaics all over and it tore them out. Wow. Yet I can find no one to support me. No one will stand up with me. No one. All these multimillionaires that throw these money to Greenpeace, they're real effective activists. They don't even show up. They don't even care. Yet, fuck Kevin. Well, isn't that the way it's always been? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? And, you know, I'll probably die that way. I'll probably be just like Michelangelo died that way. He died heartbroken. Read his poetry, Dan. He lived to 88. He fought this machine his entire life. 80 years he fought it. He died with tears running down his cheeks, fighting this. You know, Madeline Rice, she fought it to death. But that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. You know, I'll do it. You know, I look on, I don't know how I've done it. Now, just go get a job now, Cab, after what I've been through? Are you kidding? You know, deals were made inside the bone marrow transplant with myself. I don't make deals with God. I don't make deals with the devil. No. I thank God. You know, I prayed a lot, and every single prayer that I ever said I never asked for one thing. Even when I was dying and falling away and my heart broken, I thanked Him. I thank whatever God is. I prayed and I meditated. I walked down into the meditation temple, and I got to the meditation temple down in Memory Grove. I walked down there, I fought, and I meditated and I prayed every day. And I never once asked for anything. I thanked God for protecting my children, for protecting my grandchildren. Thanked Him for all the many, many blessings that have been bestowed on my life, which there have been many. Count your blessings. I get that. Life is a blessing. Yeah, discouraged, heartbroken, but the environment, that's our last bastion. The trees, the mountains. I love the environment. I love the ocean. It breaks my heart to watch it die. Watch going on in the Pacific Ocean. I mean every word I say. It's from my soul. Because there's no masquerade party with me. What you see is what you get, and I've been that way since the day. Kevin, you just go. That was the advice for the doctors, which the doctors already knew. That's the way I always have already. You just go. That's what I do. I'm not going to fall for these fuckers. Sad. Indian Point blows. Thank you to River Watchers. River Watchers, without River Watchers, that's Bobby Kennedy Jr. started that many, many years ago. You do know about GE poisoning the Hudson. And think about the money you as a taxpayer had to pay to restore the Hudson. Now they do it again. It's clean energy, and it's replacing fossil fuels. And why is there an oil slick from a nuclear reactor in the Hudson River? I mean, this is how ignorant people. I says, stay away from the Hudson. What's the Hudson? Oh my God. This is how illiterate people are. This is how numb and people geographically are retarded. People historically are retarded. And look up the word retarded. I mean, wow, what is the matter with people? What is the matter? And it's like, they're going to put us in FEMA camp, declare martial. Already done it. Happened. This country is in martial law. Try driving around in the middle of the night. You better get in your house. And they're like, why would we pay for a FEMA camp? Let's sell them a mortgage. Let's sell them a credit default swap. Let's freaking feed their freaking house. Make them pay for it. We ain't going to give them a free FEMA camp. You'll get them in there, make them go to work 12 hours a day to pay for their own FEMA camp. Don't step out of line at night. And we'll let them sneak out and get on an airplane and go to Vegas for a week on their week vacation and extort all their money with no gaming commission. You know, it used to be, it was guaranteed by law. They had to kick out so much money on these machines, and they would come in and check these machines, check these blackjack games. They would shut casinos down all the time. Loaded dice, whatever. These casinos cheat so fucking bad, there's no gaming commission. Buy here, pay here. It's usury. It is the most anti-Christian thing in the world. The people that claim they're Christians are the most anti-Christian. That is to bear false witness. That is the greatest sin. You have 200 million people just in the United States alone that are devils, purely the opposite of anybody's teachings. Nuclear is the top. Megan Rice knows all this. She knows all this because her mother taught her this. She listened to her mom. She is her mom. She should have been released today. I don't know what the game they're playing now. I mean, it's outrageous. So he sends it back to the court. Okay, we'll uphold the destruction of property, which to me is a few hundred, maybe $1,200 maximum for a contractor to go take care of that. $455,000. That's okay. Okay, you want to extort money from us? You know, that group, they have an organization. You know, I think it's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. You know, so set them free. They should have been set free as soon as they signed that. And I think, you know, they'll sue. I'm sure they will. His attorneys, they should, for wrongful incarceration. The government will settle out of court and make you the taxpayer. It's just like all business. We buy military tanks. We buy military armor. We're a business that does not make it, does not fail. It just goes down. But no, you, the taxpayer, will pay for it all. And you want to say, oh, you know, we want to pull taxes, we want to pull tax on anything, but yet you're all about the military-industrial complex. That's redistribution of wealth. That's where all money goes. It goes on bomb builders, and none of these people work. Academia, it's all free money. It's serfdom. So you either become a serf, and they co-opt the energy and call it New World Order. Get a gun, buy some gold. That's all co-opt energy. That's all gaslighting. Just throw your freaking the shiny ball. When we know it's as obvious to know it's neo-feudalism. It's gone on for thousands of years. Thousands of years. You know, Kylie Fitzwater, that great actress down under, sent me that great picture of the English wrapping up the natives there, clear into the 1960s with chains around their necks. That's what these people are. This has gone on forever. That's exactly what they're doing. And who are? They're not some aliens from above. They're corporate board members. They're Barry Antoinette, Barack Obama. He's in the club. They let him in the club. And he's all full of himself, and he likes being rich. Same with Hillary and Bill Clinton. The cash machine. The Bush crime family goes very deep, all the way back to the royals of the Bush crime family. By the way, John Hinckley Jr. is going to get out of prison, I think, this week, it looks like. So you shoot a president of the United States. Huh, Hinckley family. Sound familiar? Roots right here. Right here. Bush's best friend. Hinckley's dad and George H. Bush in business together, oil cartel. They spent the time together. Did the Bush crime family do it? Absolutely, they did it. We know that for a fact. Undocumented history. People say, oh, that's conspiracy. No. Just like the Gulf of Tonkin, when we say that in the 60s was fake. Taught 7th grade history books now. They were bringing in drugs in the early 80s. The CIA, H. Bush. Oh, you guys are crazy. Taught in 7th grade history books. The Lusitania. The United States knew that the Japs were freaking bomb. That's what they used to call them, Japs. That's exactly what they called them, Japs. Not my words. Historical. It's just like you want to historical the word Negro, you want to say the word Japs. That's not what I call them. I call them our human family. I'm not. I hate racists. They make me sick. I'm disgusted with all the racists. The race baiting, the YouTube genre. That's all they do. This Diablo 77, all these guys, they're fear porn. I have more power to them. I'm not against him and those guys. They can do what they want because they're trying to make a buck. And I understand that. They're filling a void. I'm not against them, what they do. But that's what it is. We need to understand what it is. It's fear porn. People eat it up, and it's bullshit, and it's ridiculous, and it will never stand in history and historically, ever. Because the same thing in art. It doesn't matter how much you're selling your art for at the time or what the art is or what your thing. You're doing what you do, and I understand you have the right to do that. But historically, it will never stand. The return on investment is, it will never stand. We'll talk more about this Thursday. I'm headed to freaking battle with Governor Herbert right now. I'll be at the Capitol. Anybody wants to call me, 801-452-1908. Call me up. Let's hook up. This is a big deal. Major happening right now. I'm going to do a video today for my friend Pocahontas and not use the F word.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twin Gate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific.